Brian, should we call it work from ranch? Tell us about where you're working from today.
That beautiful structure in the background, has been the beneficiary of untold amounts of capital over the last almost 100 years. That's the horse stable on the ranch, and it's definitely seen better days. So call it, work from ranch is fine. It'll work for me today. But anyway, you were going to say, Vinnie?
Actually, it's a good metaphor for work from home. Means a lot of different unpredictable scenarios. Means a lot more capex than people are used to, a lot more security issues that many companies have not yet factored. And of course, knowing you, Brian, there's always a concern about productivity from remote work.
Everyone, welcome once again to the Birding Platform. I'm Brian Sommer, and with me as always, the splendiferous Vinnie Mirchandani. And since Vinnie has all those...
Is that a compliment?
Yeah. And since Vinnie has all those copies of his books that haven't sold behind him, I thought I would show you what goes on in the real archives here at the Brain Trust. And we're going to use that today to kind of go into the future and into the past, whatever. And we're going to give counsel and advice today on if there was a younger Vinnie and a younger Brian, what would we tell them relative to their careers in the technology world going forward? So with that as a setup, Vinnie, what kind of counsel would you give Vinnie Jr., little Vincenzo?
I would, first of all, tell them keep very good tax records because you're going to get audited like Brian is about to.
So, Vinnie, I know you're wedded at the hip to a spreadsheet and paper and pen. How are you seeing business going to change?
Brian, you should talk. You got dinosaurs behind you.
That was your house. I took that picture in front of your house a few years ago. In fact, I think you used to ride a brontosaurus to the old salt mine every day to go to work. But anyway, keep going.
Yep. You're the guy who had the cameo in Jurassic Park.
Our show really got popular last week when Vinnie was on it. So
we have to add a fourth show.
Flattery will get you far, Brent.
No, this is great. First of all, thanks for having us. So, yeah, I'm here in Atlanta. Gosh, I've been in the CRM area for, I guess, 2 decades at this point. But I've been a Los Angeles Rams fan for more than twice that, basically. Ever since I was a little kid, saw the horns on the TV on a Sunday afternoon, and that was it for me, even though I lived in Delaware.
Vince Ferragamo, right?
So at the time, this is actually before Vince Ferragamo. This is James Harris. That's how far back I go. That's like the early 70s. But anyway, yeah. So I've been a huge sports fan. I love the Sixers growing up. Dr. J was my guy when I was growing up. Love the Phillies, although I'm not really a Phillies fan anymore. But Gary Maddox was my guy, and Steve Carlton was my guy until I got a little older and found out a little bit more about Steve Carlton, but that's besides the point. And then, although I was never a hockey fan, I grew up in Philadelphia where they were completely crazy about the Flyers. So, I have a lot of love with all the different sports. But yeah. This guy right here, that's where it really goes.
Okay, but I'm glad you had that on. Paul, I know you're a Yankees fan, but I'm sure you're not just a Yankees fan.
Well, no. I mean, see, here's the thing. I'm born and raised in New York, okay? I live in Manassas, Virginia right now, which is clearly not New York, but I'm born and raised in New York, so I'm a New York sports fan. Now, unlike...
Jets or Giants?
Well, think of this. My company is called the 56 Group, and it's been in business for, 18 years, right? And again, my focus, like Brent's, has always been CRM, even preceding the foundation of the 56 Group. I've written books on it. I've done all this other stuff. But it took a while for us to try to come up with a name for the company. And the way we came up with it, my brother and I were just talking one day and said, I don't know, what should I name it after? He said, and he's like me with the Yankees. He said, well, we should probably figure out someone around the Yankees. I said, good idea. So this is 1956, right? The 56 Group. 1956, I was 6 years old. First time I ever watched a Yankee game. But same year, Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown, and Don Larson pitched a perfect game in the World Series, which we won handily as a result. And so it was like the epitome of achievement in baseball on the batter and the pitcher side in 1 year. And the first year I happened to watch baseball. So what better name? And I had this pitch in the very beginning of my company where I would talk about the epitome of achievement on it, and I never even used it. I literally threw it out. But it was all based around perfect game Larson and Triple Crown Mickey Mantle, who was my hero growing up. But I love New York sports. I will say one thing, though. Younger generations, it's like the Mets versus the Yankees, the Rangers versus the Islanders, the Knicks and so on. But they're nuts. You root for your city, man. It's not, you're not just rooting for your team. You're rooting for your city. So you root for the team.
That's a cop out, Paul.
Sorry, I don't root for the Mets, but I don't root against them. I mean,
all right. So guys, I read somewhere that not since Second World War has sports been so affected as it has in the last 3 or 4 months. The Tokyo Olympics have been postponed a year. The drafts went to visual. My God, you talk about taking the fun out of the draft. I've been watching 30 for 30, Lance Armstrong. And
wow, go down to Lance Armstrong. You really are different.
Michael Jordan, Last Dance.
Yeah.
And here's the big disappointment, right? My city has the GOAT. Tom Brady has just arrived in Tampa. The Gronk is here. And I feel guilty. We haven't even given them a proper welcome. So it just
we're very happy.
Yeah, I got a proper welcome for them. Of course, I'm not a big fan of the Pats. So
now that plane issue, I need to talk to Linda Jojo at United. We need to get her on this show. I could use a plane named after me. Totally not. I met the guy that had the most miles, and it is pretty wow. This guy was amazing. He's like an auto dealer consultant he bought the lifetime pass on United and literally just keeps flying. And that's why he's got more miles than anyone else at United. And the funniest thing, we're sitting on the plane and the woman next to me is like, she cocks in and is like, "Oh, I'm really important." And we looked at her and we just kind of laughed. And she's like, can you put my bag up for me? And I'm like, "Okay, sure. Happy to help you." And I kind of gave her that look like, "Really?" She's like, "Oh, I'm a frequent flyer." And I just literally laughed my ass off. And I was like thinking, okay, I mean, she can't possibly have more miles than me, but I won't say anything. Right. And so she looks at us again. It's like, "Well, I'm a really important flyer. I need a drink now." And I'm like, "Wait, ma'am, I don't work here. Why wear a jacket here? I'm not at United. I'm actually your seatmate." So once we got past that was interesting. But the guy next to me across the aisle heard this and said, I'm a very important flyer. And the stewardess said, and flight attendant said, "Yes, he is probably our number one flyer." And she's like, "Well, I have 1 million miles." And I'm like, "I have 4 million. And he's like, "Well, I've got like 18 or something," or some ridiculous number. And so I turned to her and said, "Look, if you're important, you would not be on the plane with me flying commercial." Anyways, yes, there's no plane named after me.
I have probably. Hello, folks. Real pleasure to have a special episode of Burning Platform today with two of my fellow curmudgeons. You'll see pretty quickly what I mean by that. But it's also curmudgeon Christmas. So certainly Frank and I have the right spirit. Dennis is grumpy as ever. He hasn't worn his Christmassy stuff. Frank, show us your ugly sweater.
It's from Christmas movie. Is that it?
All right. Well, listen, let's get in and go into the first part, which is the, little bit down memory lane. I'm going to go down about 15 years. And Frank and Dennis haven't seen these photographs, so they may be just as surprised as you are. Guys, do you remember this?
Oh, there we go.
This is where the term curmudgeon started.
Curmudgeon Row.
Curmudgeon Row. Susie Foran at Flex.
There you go.
Special sign made for it. I wasn't supposed to be part of this group. These guys coerced me to be in there. So I'm really not a curmudgeon, but that qualified me as it. But Susie, Susie had a gorgeous baby boy this year. So thank you, Susie, if you're watching this.
Yeah, we got famous. We got famous for being curmudgeons at most of these events, throwing very pessimistic questions toward the vendors. So we got to be
Hey, there's a lot of other reasons why we qualified, but here is one from, I think, 2010. There's Frank and Jeff Nolan, another of our friends, when he was with SAP still. And this is at Mel's Diner in downtown San Francisco.
That's right.
Frank, you and I were both had a little excess weight back then. We're both looking good now. And
Yeah, definitely.
So is Dennis.
Well, we've all lost weight. All three of us. Look at Den here. Dennis is best I've seen him since I've known him.
And Dennis has lost 2 pounds up his beard. I mean, that's it. Even lighter. So this is one from what, 2008? This is Pumpkin Girl, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, she's in high school now, so she's a little bigger.
This is Frank in his kitchen showing his granddaughter. What were you making?
We were making fried pumpkin. That's Italian-American tradition. Actually, this is her kitchen, her mom's kitchen, parents' kitchen. And I was teaching her how to make this dish, which I used to make every year around this time. Fried pumpkin.
This is one, I forget when, but this is with another of her friends, Stacy Fish, one of the nicest ladies in enterprise software. She's even nice to Dennis.
I spoke to Stacy recently, and she's now doing some interesting developer work with our good friends over at SAP. She managed to escape analyst relations.
Well, I haven't talked to her in a while.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her for that. Would you?
Absolutely not.
All right, well, Dennis, now this.
Oh God!
Tell us about this. You had a little more hair, and you used to brew your own beer, right?
Well, I owned a brewery at one stage.
Are you kidding?
Wow.
Yeah,
I never knew that. I never knew that.
I owned a brewery for a number of years in France because I couldn't get decent beer, so it's like, well, I might as well brew my own. I used to make it, and it was kind of like moonshine, you know. Kind of the local bar, you know. Hey, do you want to try some English beer? Yeah, have you got some? Yeah, come down to my place, and you know, that kind of stuff. I sold it after I moved out of France, but yeah, those were my hippie days.
Well, if you still had it, they would have commissioned you to make PPE this year.
Yeah.
This is one when Dennis used to lug around, God, what, 20 pounds of equipment at the different
20, more like 30 pounds.
More like 30 pounds. This is
the
Workday Rising in 2013. And I guess, I don't know what, you were smiling, so obviously I said something to make you smile. But it was pretty impressive, the equipment you had. Way before all of us got video equipment for Zoom.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's me.
Here's a curmudgeon.
There we go. That was also at Mel's Diner.
That's
true. And you can have that today as well.
And, you know, just to get even, in my last book, the editor said, look, Vinnie, there's so many acronyms. You really should have a glossary at the front of the book. So I included something called, Do You Speak SAP Ease? And in there, I had squeezed in this little acronym. My damn editor caught it and deleted it.
So,
Dennis, I would have, immortalized you with this little thing in the book. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Stay positive.
Amen.
Yep. And thank you.
Thank you for your leadership.